Welcome to Detroit's Darkest Times. This is episode 290. We're working on 50,000 viewers. So we're slowly climbing the ladder, slowly growing, and keeping it positive. Today's segment is robberies, murders, and attempted murders. So if you're interested, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like, and the notification bell. Excuse me. These stories happened some time ago. All the parties involved has been arrested, convicted. Some parties had passed away. Some parties have got injured and recovered. We're not going to give no names on this, but this is old news to some and new news to many. And it gets in depth of things that took place and different scenarios and things like that. So make sure you got your popcorn, your drink, and get comfortable, because this is going to be one hell of a ride. Okay, first we're going to start in Michigan. Now I want to share with y'all people has dealt with automobiles in all different ways over the years. Now, you wouldn't think this kind of stuff would take place if you was just at the, we just say General Motors Corporation, where they're actually building cars on the assembly line. Whether, you might be working on the assembly line or just doing a walkthrough and they're just showing you what they do or whatever. But just basically what I'm getting to is just looking at cars being built, brand new cars. And this is back in the day. And just looking at new cars being built on assembly line, the cars that you're actually looking at or the cars you're actually building, if you work on assembly line, you ain't got no clue all the things that these cars encounter, go through, and end up at, where they end up at. Because, the regular individual would, that was building the car or watching cars be built brand new, the regular individual would think, okay, this car is going to get built, it's going to end up on a car lot, somebody's going to buy it and enjoy it, and that's pretty much going to be the end of the story. Well, that's not the end of the story. And automobiles has been around for a long time. And there's been a lot of things go on with automobiles over the years. So, one thing about cars is, some people don't realize that when a car is built, a brand new vehicle, no matter what it is, a truck, SUV, car, whatever, excuse me, these cars sell for X amount of dollars. But what some people don't realize that there's a ton of vehicles that after they get sold as a new vehicle and people use it for a certain period of time, then they trade it into a car lot, get them another car, whatever the case may be. But anyways, this one car out of many, but I'm just speaking on a one car incident. Once it gets sold brand new, a family or individual buys this car and pays the price for whatever the car is selling for at that time, brand new. Okay, most people keep a car anywhere from 5 to 7 years, something like that. And then they decide they want to trade it in or they want to sell it to back to a car lot to get them something different or whatever the case may be. But this one vehicle, in some scenarios, one car makes so much money, it's unreal, over many years. And what I mean by that is a car or SUV or truck or whatever, when it's bought brand new, the people buy it, okay, then they trade it in or sell it to another car lot or an individual, whatever the case may be. The individual that they sell it to, it usually ends up on another car lot, some way, shape, or form. And then then it's selling as a used vehicle. Then somebody purchases it, and there's a lot of times where, and this is thousands and thousands and thousands of vehicles that this happens to, and people. A lot of times that these cars, they're sold as a used vehicle. Some people get where they have it for a little while, they can't pay for it, so they end up repossessing it, taking it, then they resell it again. And this repossession and resale happens on a lot of times on the same vehicle multiple times. So what I'm getting at to you is when you first see a brand new car built, you don't realize how much one vehicle is going to bring. It's going to bring way more than the new sale price that they put on the car. So over years, these cars and SUVs and trucks and so on, it makes so much money that you would not believe how much money over years that same vehicle brings. And at the end of the rainbow, when it's all said and done, I ain't gonna put no specific number on it, but you can just think about how many times a vehicle gets transitioned in a used car lot after it's bought brand new, and then on the street, sold on the street and everything like that. How much money that same vehicle is bringing until the end of the life of the vehicle. It's just unheard of, basically. And a lot of people don't think about it like that, but that's what goes down. And but anyways, getting back to the vehicles that's being bought and resold and stuff like that. Here's one story that happened in Michigan. And like I said, these stories that I'm letting you know, it's a lot of criminal activity, but it's already been, the people's already been caught, they've already been convicted, they already did their time, or the people didn't make it that far and they passed away and they got killed, or they almost got killed or killed themselves. And I'm going to explain that in the story. But just all kinds of things happen with the auto industry and the automobiles, you know, that people don't really sit back and think about the big picture when the car's first being built as a brand new vehicle. But I'm going to let y'all know some of the stories that I've heard. And these are true stories. These ain't fictional. This stuff really happened. Anyways, in Michigan, years back, there was a car lot in the suburbs, and it's like right outside of Detroit. You know what I mean? And this car lot dealt in a lot of vehicles and stuff like that, and used and new. You know, mostly used. And this car lot had a lot of people working for them, as far as men. And what they would do is they would buy a used car from somewhere, whether it be off of a person or wherever they would buy it from. And just keep an open mind when I'm telling you the story, so you can get a kind of an idea what the situation is. But anyways, they would buy the vehicles, and all these guys would pile up in a van or a car or whatever, and they would head out. And what it was is they would go pick these cars up and drive them back to the lot. This was an everyday process. But they would drive them back to the lot, and the owner of this particular car lot, he's no longer here anymore. He's passed away. But like I told you, this is years back. But anyways, I do believe the car lot's still there. I think his son runs it. But anyways, they would go out and they would pick each car up and stuff like that, and they would drive it back. And these guys got paid to basically clean the cars, go pick the cars up. If they had to spend their own money to put like a quart of oil in the car or whatever the case may be, or transmission fluid or whatever, they would just take the empty container back to the car lot, and then the guy would, when he would pay them at the end of the day, he would reimburse them for what, if they spend any money, like for oil, transmission, whatever, or gas, or whatever the case may be. But anyways, they had this going. It's a big car lot. And they also used to wipe the old cars down that had like faded, the paint would be like faded on it. It wouldn't. And what they would do is they would wipe the car down with the rags and transmission fluid. And what this would do is make the car shine after they washed it, of course, but this transmission fluid would make this car shine. And the whole idea of the situation is to have the car nice and clean and have it shining and things like that to get it sold. But and I don't know the customers' thoughts on cars they bought over the years from this car lot. But if you're listening to this, you'll probably know what car lot I'm talking about. And, you know, if you bought some lemons or whatever, you know. Not saying they sold lemons. I'm just saying this because I don't know the history with the customers if they got good vehicles or lemons or whatever. I don't really know that part. I know a little bit about it, but not much. So I don't want to speak on it. And also, I'm not going to call out the car lot or the people. But I'm just telling you, this is years back, and this is part of the vehicle situation I'm telling you about. But anyways, they do this. They bring the cars back. If it needs anything, fixed, they'll do that. They'll clean it, wash it, put the slick shine on it. Not on every car, but just on cars that had dull paint jobs and they wanted it to shine a little bit. That's what they would do. Put transmission fluid on a rag, and then you just wipe the car down after it's washed, and it just brings the shine to it. you know. But anyways, this guy back in the day, he was an old dude, and he was a good dude, and he worked a lot of dudes, and they were there, every day, and now they didn't make a ton of money by no means, but it was just some older cats did back in the day. And this old gentleman that had this car lot, he, gave them all work and stuff like that. Then they would have Christmas parties and all that. But anyways, they did that. Well, this old cat that had this car lot, he had these older gentlemen working for him. He had some young people, but mostly older gentlemen working for him. And they worked with him for quite some time. So sometimes he would the night deposit he would have, he would give it to one of the guys. It wouldn't be just any guy, but it would be one of the guys that works on the crew. And he would get them to say, hey, would you drop this in the night drop at the bank on your way home, And he did that because he trusted these guys and stuff like that. Well, then one guy decides he's going to take the money, and this has money and checks and all that. But anyways, he's going to he wants them to take it and drop it off in the night drop at the bank. So this guy, I don't know why he did it, because all these guys were good guys, you know what I mean? I think just greed struck him or something, and I don't know what the case was, but anyways, he had took the night drop. The old man gave him the night drop. He didn't go to the bank. He just took all of it and left and went to Kentucky. So I don't know what he was thinking. And truthfully, he don't know what he was thinking. But anyways, he does that. He goes to Kentucky, and he's a drinking man and stuff like that, and he goes to Kentucky, and that's where he's from, and I guess he visits family and all that. Well, then now the money's getting low and it's running down, so now he's got to come back. And so like I said, this car lot was outside of Detroit, but all this takes place outside of Detroit, inside of Detroit. But anyways, so he decides he's just going to call the owner, and he's hoping that the owner don't put him in jail. You know what I mean? And so he says, he calls the owner, and he's upset, and he's telling him he don't know why he did it and all that, but he did do it. And I think he had a few bucks left. I don't know how much he had left, but he talked to the guy, and they're all friends, and the old man couldn't believe he did that. But then he talks to the old man, and don't you know that he has to talk to the man several times. But this really bothered this cat after he did it. He just couldn't hardly live with himself. You know what I mean? It wasn't so much, he did want the old man to forgive him and not press charges on him. But this stuff was eating him up alive, what he did, Because in Detroit, if a lot of people knows this, but in Detroit, if you do something like that, that's going to stay on your name for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? And people's going to know about it. Because there ain't too many things goes on in Detroit that people don't end up knowing about. And that's, the people in the streets and stuff like that. So, anyways, he talks to the old man several times, apologizing. This older gentleman's actually crying. It's really tearing him up. And just apologizing and telling him he hopes he don't put him in jail and all that. But anyways, in the midst of this, like I told you, he was a drinking guy too. So one time he gets eventually the guy actually lets him come back to work over there, to be honest with you. So it's a crazy story. But anyways, he don't do no more night drops at the bank no more, but he does eventually let him go back to work over there. But this thing's just eating him up, and I don't even think he worked over there very long after that. But this is bothering him real bad, and like I said, he's a drinking dude. So one time he gets well intoxicated, and he just tries to take his life. And what he does is he drinks antifreeze that goes in cars because he was trying to take his life. He just couldn't live with himself, really. It was just bothering him that bad, So, but the thing is, the ambulance come to get him. He goes to the hospital, but he don't die. He lives. But what they have to do is they have to put a bag. He has to have a bag on him after that. It's a crazy story and a sad story at the same time. But anyways, this happens, and then after he gets out of the hospital, gets the bag and all that, then, some time passes, and he's still drinking. And then, he comes and shares the story with some people. The whole story. Anyways, that was a crazy situation right there. And things like that. And then you had people back in the days, this many years back, you had people that would get in the business of taking cars and then reselling them and things of that nature. Uh, and all these cats got caught doing what all they was doing, but it's just, like I said, it's old news to some and it's new news to many. You know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to share it on my channel and just kind of let y'all know things that happen in Detroit and outside of Detroit. But you know, you just can't make this stuff up. This this cat was, you know, I don't know what he was thinking when he you know, because he'd been doing the night drops and all that, and then just one day he decided he wasn't going to drop the money. He was just going to take off and go to Kentucky to his hometown, and you know, and then I guess later on it sunk in that he's going to have to face the music. You know what I mean? But honestly, I felt sorry for dude because it was just a hellacious story, and he just, you know, told the whole story. You know what I mean? And but you knew when this cat told you the story. He told several people the story, but anyways, you knew that this cat really was sorry that he did that. As far as taking the night drop money, you just knew when he was telling the story and all the shit he went through that he really didn't. He wished he would have never did it. But some things you do in life, you just can't go back in time and change it. You know, you just got to live with it. But my thoughts was the worst scenario wouldn't taking the money. The worst scenario wouldn't possibly going to jail, but he didn't go to jail. And the worst scenario was when people got wind of that, that stays on your name your whole life. And that kind of stuff right there, you know, people are going to look at you a different kind of way. People are going to distance themselves from you, and then people ain't going to trust you at all. It's just a whole bunch of scenario things that comes with when somebody trusts you and you actually, you know, do something like that, you know. Because, you know, I don't know what the cat thought. I don't know if the cat thought there was going to be revenge, retaliation over it, or if there was something said to him, the reason he did try to, you know, commit suicide and stuff like that. I don't know that part of it, but he did say it was just bothering him so much that he's the one that, you know, tried to take his life, but he actually survived. But, you know, my name's Slick. I'm from Detroit City. And the things that I know of, heard of, and all that, it's just some folks on this channel will not believe a lot of the shit that happened. You know what I mean? But it's just a crazy story, and it's many years of different things. And like I said before, I thought about doing a book, but then I thought, well, let me just make a YouTube channel and just put my story out like that. And like I always say, on these stories I'm telling y'all, these people's already been convicted, already did their time, already passed away. Some people survived, but most the most thing is that everybody that I talk about that's did something crazy is no longer here. You know what I mean? They're passed away because this is many years back. And in my lifetime, I just experienced all this stuff. I heard all these stories and all this stuff. And I just, and these stories are real. They're not fake. But the thing is, I just felt like I got so much to offer of my life story that I just want to share with everybody. And you will really be, interested, inspired. It's just a whole bunch of scenarios that goes with this story and things like that. But, and then also I wanted to say that, way back when, a lot of people used to, get cars and then resell them or whatever they did back then. And it was criminal activity, but all these guys got caught doing it. They made a little money and they had a little run, you know what I mean? But they all got caught and they all, had to go do time. Some of them got killed. Some of them attempted to kill their own self, which is the guy I just mentioned. And it's just a crazy story that you just can't make this shit up. You know what I mean? It's crazy, but it's just so much to offer you all, and that's why I want to share it with you. And I hope that this channel inspires you to do the right thing, because the things that these guys went through, they made a little bit of money, nothing major, and a lot of them lost their lives. A lot of them went to jail for a long time, and just a whole bunch of stuff. So, really, it's not worth it. So, the best thing to do is make your money legit, stay out of trouble, and things of that nature. But, anyways, as we go, people did a lot of different things in Detroit to make money. Whatever the hustle was and wherever the money was coming from, that's what they did back in the day. This is many years back. But, and then people that did that back in the day, they just didn't, nobody thought they was going to get caught, actually. They thought they was that slick, you know what I mean? But, a good thing don't last forever. And all money's not good money. Always remember that. It might sound good, and or you might get somebody might offer you an opportunity or something like that. And it might sound really good, but the best thing to do is turn it down, because once you hear all the stories that I'm putting on you, you'll know that the right way to make money is the legit way, and that's it. And that's what I do. But anyways, it's just crazy. Also, we're going to get into some more things. Just crazy stories. But this is going to be the end of part 1, and we're going to do a part 2. So that'll be it for this one.